Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical, my 5 favorite guns. A little while back, I did a viewer requested video that was about my entire gun collection, and it was very popular. But putting every single gun in the collection in one video, I was only able to go over each one very briefly. And so today I figured I would do just my top 5 very favorites and go over them in a little bit more detail. But now understand that picking your favorite guns is like picking your favorite child. Each one of these guns at one point was my favorite. You know, as you progress in this hobby, this addiction, you know, each time you get a new gun, that is your favorite at that time. You know, you want a specific gun, you get it, maybe you customize it and build it out, and that's the one you're excited about at that time. And if you guys have followed the channel for a while, you've probably seen each one of these being my favorite gun at the time. But now that I've had a lot of them for quite a long period of time, I feel like I can pick my top 5, and that's what we're gonna do today. So make sure you're subscribed, and let's go over my 5 favorite guns. Number 5, and it might be a little bit of a surprise, but it's my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 4¼ inch full size. This gun has a 17 round mag capacity, 9mm, and this has been my bedside gun for years now. That's how much I trust it. And actually, of all of the firearms that you see here, this one I've had the very longest. Now, it wasn't the first gun that I ever owned, but of the guns that I do own, is the first one I got before any of these others. And it's the first gun that I really customized and built out. And I just absolutely love this pistol. I trust it maybe more than any of my other guns. The M&P series of pistols is extremely reliable. It's well-known fact. You know, this and Glock are pistols that people just trust. And this one, I feel like the ergonomics are about perfect. The grip texture on these 2.0 M&Ps is extremely aggressive. The thing just stays in your hand no matter what. It's got the perfect 18-degree grip angle. The mag release is at the perfect spot, and it just feels absolutely perfect. You don't have to break your grip to hit it. One thing that I think that they could have done a little better, and I believe that they have on the newer models, is the slide release here is a little bit hard to actuate. You really have to give it some pressure to be able to get it to do that. But in the manual, they call it a slide stop, not a slide release. Argue about that down in the comments if you want. But this gun is really, really shootable. This was the one with the old hinge style trigger, so I did put the Apex flat face trigger in it, which to this day is the best striker fired trigger that I've experienced. This trigger is better than a lot of 1911 triggers. It's that good. I got the slide milled originally for a 407K from Holosun, and luckily when they came out with the full-size EPS, it fit that K footprint. And so now it's got the full-size optic that it deserves, enclosed pistol sight from Holosun. I got the slide Cerakoted Midnight Bronze, which just looks fantastic. I wanted it to look custom, but not flashy. And I think that that Midnight Bronze turned out that way really well. I do wish it had some better front slide serrations. The new M&P 2.0s kind of fix all the little issues that people had with these original ones. Better front slide serrations, better trigger originally. It comes optics ready now. Mine didn't, but I'm glad because I got it milled for a direct mount for my optic, which I like better anyway. It's got the Streamlight TLR-1 HL. As you can see, I love this light. I've got it on 3 different pistols. It's a fantastic light, and this is just a fantastic pistol. I don't know about you guys, but I've had my bank account hacked 3 times just in the last year. I get spam calls all the time. I've had to get new debit cards because it's been such a problem. And that's why I am partnering with Aura. I'm pretty careful about not putting my information out there, but I Googled my email address and there was still tons of stuff about me. Luckily, a lot of it was Sawtooth Tactical. Data brokers literally have all of your information, your full name, your email, your home address, and those of your family, and they sell them to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who might want to target you. That's why I'm using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are using my information and selling it, and automatically submits opt-out requests on my behalf. Check out how many data brokers Aura found that were selling my information. Cleaning up my information helps reduce the amount of spam phone calls and stuff like that I get, and it also protects me from hackers that could use this information to access my social media, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. And Aura does so much more to protect me and my family from threats that I can't even see. Aura is very easy to set up. I don't have to download several different apps for things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more. I can get it all in one place for one affordable price. You might already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like locking the front door, but leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work so that I can focus on other things like building this YouTube channel or whatever else that I want to deal with instead of protecting my own personal privacy. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to aura.com/sawtooth-tactical to get your own 2-week free trial. I'll have a link down below in the description. Number four, and this might also surprise some people, is my carry gun, my SIG P365. Now, this is totally not the gun that I bought. Originally, I bought a basic standard SIG P365. This isn't even the basic one. I carried it for a couple years with this Wilson Combat Grip module. And then I decided that it wasn't one of my favorite guns. And I felt like the gun that I carried every day, the gun that was most likely to ever have to be used in a defensive situation, I better make it the way that I want it to be. So I got the X Macro slide with the integral comp and the optics cut that lets you keep your iron sights, because the SIG X-Ray 3 day and night sights are fantastic. I took the 407K that I originally had on my M&P and I put it on my P365 because iron sights are fine, but I do shoot better with optics and I feel more confident with them. I used the Wilson Combat Grip module again, but this time the XL grip module so that I could get a really good grip on the gun, get my whole hand on it. It just feels so much better than the factory grip module from SIG. Just fills your hand out a little bit better, but doesn't make it so wide or anything that it's hard to carry. Of course, Streamlight TLR-7 Sub, because this is really the only acceptable light to get for the P365 in my opinion. It's a very bright light, especially for the size. It's got momentary or constant on. And I even changed the trigger from the curved trigger to the flat face trigger because if you guys know me at all, you know I love flat face triggers. In fact, that's going to be a theme with all 5 of my top 5 guns. They all have flat face triggers in them. They all have optics. They all have lights. There are themes. When I find what works for me, I do tend to use those things. But I'm really happy that the gun that I carry every day is now one of my favorite guns. I feel much more confident with this than I did when it was the basic original P365. I shoot it a lot better, and I just feel confident carrying my EDC carry gun now. I carry it in a Tier 1 concealed appendix holster a lot of the time, which gives me 24 rounds on tap if I need, and it's very comfortable to carry. And then I also carry it occasionally in a We the People IWB holster strong side. Just kind of depends what I'm doing, where I'm going, but both carry positions work very well for me. And this P365 is my number 4 favorite gun. Number 3 might be a little bit less of a surprise. This is my only suppressed gun, and in fact it's a 2-stamp gun. It is a suppressed SBR. This was my second AR build, and it is my 300 Blackout home defense gun. And I purpose built this thing for home defense. I had to do some tuning with the buffer, but I've got it to where it runs supersonic or subsonic ammo perfectly reliably. Of course, light, optic, the flat face trigger. This one has a Geissele SSP, and SSP is their single stage trigger, so there is no take up. You're right on the wall, and it is a very crisp break. Really positive reset. It's a great trigger, and this gun has all of the things that I like to put into my AR builds. I've got the Radian Raptor charging handle there. I put them in all of my ARs. Radian Talon ambidextrous safety set to the 45-degree throw, because I like that you could put it on fire and put it on safe without really moving your hand. It works very well. I did build this on Aero Precision M4E1 upper and lower receiver. It's got a Roscoe 8.2-inch barrel in it. The Whip Machine and Tool Dirty 30 suppressor, Holosun 512C optic, which gives you the same kind of sight picture as an Eotech with that Donut of Death reticle, but it's not holographic. It is a true red dot, and so the reticle is very crisp and clean. It's got a nice big window. It's just very easy to acquire targets very quickly. Being that it is an SBR, I'm able to run my favorite stock on it. The B5 Systems Bravo stock, Streamlight ProTac HL-X. You see, again, another theme. I do trust Streamlight lights. And this is just a nice, handy package. It's very short, maneuverable. It gets around the home very easily. And if I ever did have to use it in like a home invasion or something, and I don't have time to put hearing protection on, which is very likely, it will not damage my hearing because it is hearing safe. And this gun is just super fun to shoot. It's made me fall in love with suppressors, and I've got more on the way, so stay tuned for that. My number 2 favorite gun, and this should surprise no one if you've been following the channel, is my Springfield Prodigy. Now I know that this gun has had kind of a rocky history since it was released. I got lucky. I waited about a year after release before I bought mine, and it's been perfectly reliable. I put 1,000 rounds through it, bone stock, except for adding an optic and a light, obviously, because I do that with all of my guns, and it ran perfectly the entire time. Then I sent it off to Skip's Guns and had him do the EGW ignition kit with the lightened hammer. It's got a 8-pound recoil spring in it with a buffer now, and it just feels as smooth as any slide that you could possibly imagine. It feels like a 2011 should feel, which it should. It costs some money. He also put the Atlas Gunworks trigger in it, which breaks at 2.4 pounds. Extremely light and crisp. Great reset. Again, flat face trigger. I love flat face triggers, and this one is as good as any trigger that I've ever felt on any pistol. It's a 1911 trigger, but it's tuned and it's just fantastic. The only things that people really talk bad about the Prodigy are the metal injection molded interior parts. Mine has none of those at this point. These are all machined parts from EGW, and this thing is tuned up to be a very good 2011, but it's built on a Prodigy frame, slide, and barrel. This gun just makes me feel confident. It makes me feel like a better shooter than I really am. I could shoot faster with it and stay on target, And I can also shoot at greater distances than I generally can with other pistols. This just makes me feel like I know that I'm going to hit my target. No matter how fast I shoot, no matter how far away from the target I am, I just shoot this gun really well. It's got the Holosun 407C on it, which is the one with just a single dot, which works perfectly for me. Again, Streamlight TLR-1 HL. This light is fantastic, especially for the price. And this gun, I mean, I know a lot of people talk bad about the Prodigies, but I highly recommend it. I've had a fantastic experience with mine. It's a great gun. And last, but certainly not least, number one, of course, is the Dream Rifle build. This is my most recent AR build, and I spared no expense. I finally decided that it was worth spending the money to build exactly the rifle that I wanted, and so I did. And this has all top-of-the-line parts on it, and it's just a really, really amazing gun. It shoots so much softer than any of my other ARs, and that has to do with buffer tuning, mid-length gas system, just a properly gassed barrel. This gun is just put together right, and I absolutely love it. I started with an ADM UIC ambi-low receiver, so I can lock the bolt back with my trigger finger and drop it. There's also got a mag release on the other side, full ambi. Of course, I used the Radian Talon ambidextrous safety set at 45 degrees, as I always do. Radian Raptor charging handle, B5 system stock. I love this stock. I've got it on like 5 different ARs. I've got the OD Green Eotech on the Unity riser with, of course, the G33 magnifier on the Unity flip to center mount. This is an awesome optics setup, and I recommend it to anybody. The Volter MUR upper receiver, or modular upper receiver. This thing is just sexy, and it's got some really great design features. It sets your forward assist a little farther forward so it doesn't get in the way of your charging handle. Of course, forward controls, designs, duck sauce. I've got the EPC. I've got the the panel here for cable management. I've even got the dimpled castle nut here. There's other forward controls parts in here as well, even stuff that you can't see. They just make fantastic, really solid parts. The Geissele handguard, this thing is super solid and I absolutely love it. Emissary handbrake. I've got a Geissele trigger in this one as well. So this is the SDE, which is 2-stage. You see how light it is. Really smooth take up, super crisp brake, nice reset. This is my favorite AR trigger that I've ever used. It's got the mod light setup, which this was not cheap compared to the Streamlights, but it is a very high quality light. Set up with the mod button, the Surefire tail cap on an Arisaka inline mount, which is mounted on the offset M-lock and just looks super clean. This one again also has a Roscoe barrel, 14.5 inch, pinned and welded with a silencer coat ASR 3-prong flash hider. This flash hider is great because the 3 prongs are different lengths, so you don't get that tuning fork ring to it that you do with some 3 and 4 prong flash hiders. And I do have an Otter Creek Labs Polonium K, currently in ATF jail, waiting approval to go on this rifle. Actually, it's going to go on all of my 5.56 guns. I'm going to switch them all out to ASR muzzle devices so that I can just QD them from one gun to another and run that can on all of my 5.56 guns. But again, this gun had to be number one. And of course, it is the one that is the most expensive, but it's also the one that I took the most pride in building. It shoots just super soft, super accurate. I love this optic setup. I literally love every part on this. I picked every part exactly what I would want on my dream rifle, and that's why we called it the Dream Rifle Build Series, and it really did turn out to be exactly that. I do plan to do more dream builds. I think from now on, whenever I build a new gun, I'm going to build it exactly the way I want it. And so I'm going to have to recover a little bit financially from this one, save up some money, and then I think we're going to do a Mark 18 build. Of these top 5, let me know which one is your favorite. And also, I'm trying to decide what to do next. I just mentioned a Mark 18 build. That is something I've always wanted to do. I don't have a gun with a quad rail on it. And I also don't have a 10.3 inch 5.56. And that's about as small of a barrel length as I want to go with for 5.56. But I do just want to build that really cool classic Mark 18. I also really want to get an MP5 or an MP5 clone. I want to get a SIG P226 single action only Legion. I want to get a Beretta, what's that, 92XI, the single action one. There's a CZ Shadow 2. There's a lot of guns that I'd love to get. I also want to get an AKS 74U, like a crank. PSA is coming out with a Krinkov clone. I think that would be really cool to get. Let me know what you guys would want to see on this channel though, because that does help my decision making. I love reading every one of your comments. I answer every comment, and I really just enjoy interacting with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. Share it. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.